뭐죠? 무죄의 악마들.
이게 뭐야?
Most successful series tap into the consciousness of society. They deal with topics that are usually on people's minds, or at least in the back of their consciousness that they want to address, or that society has drawn up. The Killing Vote taps into a few different things. One is justice. What does it mean to find justice in our legal system today? Not just in North America, but where is it at globally? It seems that people who have money, power, and influence do crimes and do little to no time in prison. Is it right that they can afford the best attorneys to find the loopholes in the laws or processes to circumvent true justice? We see this playing out on a daily basis, and the Killing Vote highly touches on that. Second, it touches on mob mentality, impulse vibes, and information. I mean, when you present a mob with certain facts in a certain light, you can get them to act in any way you want if you can justify the argument. In the United States, for example, we saw that firsthand on January 6, 2021. Controlling influence, information, and feeding into people's worst fears and emotions isn't likely justice for anything. So the Killing Vote is another one of these series that is attempting to hold up a mirror to society and asks us, do we even know what justice is? Now, this series calls back a mix of the Netflix series Clickbait and the Jamie Foxx, Gerard Butler 2009 film Law Abiding Citizen. Those are the two films, or those are the two pieces of content that really I think that this kind of merges ideas of. Now, this type of film that goes ahead and actually really makes you think about societal issues and justice and legal system and holding up that mirror to society, I love that type of stuff. So I'm a main character target audience for this. I'm who they're talking to in this stuff. But I go ahead and actually make sure that I give casual perspectives as well, because casuals need to go and actually know what's going on with this too and see if this is for them. You see, I think it's always good for you to go and actually know the bias of your reviewer before you go ahead and actually get that final verdict to determine if it's for you. You see, I watched the first 2 episodes of brand new content on streaming platforms to go ahead and actually see if it's right for you. I watch it so you don't have to. If you like how that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now, let me get into this review for you. The Killing Vote is a drama thriller that premiered on Prime Video in August of 2023. The season contains 12 episodes, each about 65 minutes. It's filmed and presented from South Korea in Korean language, but English subtitles are provided. Now, as you know, I murder people's names that are not located in North America. So, let's go ahead and actually put up these stars of this particular series. First, we have my guy here, who I am going to go ahead and actually refer to as the cool cop. I like that. I'm going to go with that. We also have my guy right here, who I'm going to refer to as the professor. And lastly, I have my girl right here, and I'm going to refer to her as Hacker Woman. You like that? I adapted for you. Tried to go ahead and actually give you a little bit better on this so I can stop murdering people's names. Hope you like it. Here's the story that we have for The Killing Vote. A drama about tracking the deviation of conducting a national death penalty vote for malicious criminals and executing the death penalty. So let's go ahead and actually break down the expectations for main target audience members and casuals. For main target audience members, we want the full layout. We want characters, consequences, hypocrisy of society. We want all of that. Give us everything in totality so we can go ahead and actually really understand the world that you're building, the characters, consequences, all that kind of good stuff, so we can wrap our minds around the moral dilemmas that are going to be presented to us in the series. You got to do that. Give us breadcrumbs to see if we can kind of figure out who's conducting the vote. After all, this is kind of like a taboo type of thing. We don't know who's actually conducting this particular vote. So, give us some breadcrumbs. Help us go and actually try and figure out who it is. We're probably also going to go and actually need to see at least a couple executions for us to go and actually have any type of staying power. Maybe even people that we might empathize with or like. That's going to go ahead and actually draw us in and really keep us entertained. Got to keep us guessing though. Don't make it easy for us to go and actually guess all the various different things on here. You'll lose a main target audience real quick on that. And when it ends, the mystery should be over, but just like life, the answer should be various shades of gray. And I want it to be the good kind of gray, not the 50 Shades variety. Okay? But there should be more quandaries on there that we need to go ahead and actually evaluate once everything is done. Fair enough? Now, let's look at the expectations for casual viewers, folks that ain't really into this type of stuff. First and foremost, you need compelling characters with good storylines. Casual is going to lose interest if the characters or the story are boring. And that can happen on the main side too, but it's very important for casuals to keep engaged with this, because we're going to look for main casuals. We're going to look for the mortality. We're going to try and contrive and get something out of there. Casuals are not going to spend that time. Two, they'll want to go and actually keep guessing as well. So give them enough breadcrumbs as well, and hype up that mystery aspect of things. They're going to go ahead and actually want some swerves in the entertainment value portion of it. So if you could go and actually do some redirection, things of that nature, to make it more interesting, that's going to go ahead and actually spark the minor entertainment value for a casual fan. So now we have the expectations. Let's see if the killing vote is going to get my vote. Gotcha. All right. So this story isn't as inventive as Clickbait was when it premiered, and it's not even as sadistic or voyeuristic as the episode of Black Mirror called National Anthem. But what it does well is give you another perspective. You see, we've seen these calls for justice types of films and series from killers' perspectives, from victims, and even victims' families. But in the killing vote, we see the struggle of the cool cop. I mean, this guy, he beats up suspects, he plants evidence, and he lies to get what he believes is justice. He's kind of like the Punisher without guns. But he's working within the system. He's trying to find that justice within the justice system. But he's struggling with it, and he's also struggling with justice versus this vigilantism. And he's actually written pretty well. So we kind of go ahead and actually look at it from the perspective of that good cop and try and see what struggles he has with it, and that's our story perspective. There's also a side story of we see a story of the woman hacker who also has a sense of doing whatever is necessary for justice as well. Now these two get paired up together on a task force and try and stop the killer vote vigilante. For the most part, the story is good and engaging. Some of the story is a bit much. I think the biggest thing that stands out for me in this series is the jarring shift in tone from talking about justice and crimes and murder and etc., all that type of stuff, to the comedy, which is meant to kind of lighten up the mood. And I totally agree that we need mood, even outers, to make light of things on there, because we're going down some dark paths, right? But they tend to kind of go over the top in this particular series, and it jumps out at you and takes you out of a few different scenes. It's weirder than the usual comedy from Korean-based content. And here in this one, that's supposed to be a very serious topic, the comedy is just a little bit too much. I feel overall, mains are going to be good with the story. I'm going to be just fine with it. Casual should be as well, but those tone changes are going to stand out to casual viewers of Korean shows. So just kind of a fair warning that the story aspect of tone issues can go and actually be very jarring to casual viewers. Now, when this show is not being comical, it's well acted. The cool cop and hacker woman are characters that you mostly like. They have plenty of support cast in the police department that are decent, but not great in their roles. I do like the professor character. Now, he's an inmate who is a target of the investigation, because once he killed his daughter his daughter's killer for justice. So he's somebody that they're looking at. And he seems kind of be like a red herring, but I feel him being the professor is not so subtle breadcrumbs for us to try and figure out who the real vigilante is. So he probably has something to do with it, but we don't know. And again, this isn't a spoiler thing because it's within the first episode or so, but it definitely is giving vibes of we're supposed to attach on to this, but don't attach on too heavy. The acting for the series is done pretty well. Again, as long as it's not in a comedy that I feel is just so out of place, but the rest of the acting is actually pretty decent. Other thoughts that I have, I kind of feel like I know where this story is going after watching a couple of scenes carefully and understanding where most of these storytellers go with these types of revenge justice types of content. I'm pretty sure that I can guess or have a good idea. However, clickbait is an example of a great swerve that will prepare me for this series to throw me a curveball. So I'm not going to say that I definitely know where it's going because they could totally swerve it. They've got a lot of episodes to do that. And actually at the end of episode 2, I did evolve my theory a bit. So it could be a bit interesting. And I think this is going to be a pretty interesting journey. But now let's get to those verdicts. I'm going to go and actually say for both mains and casuals, watch the first 2 episodes. As long as you're comfortable with reading subtitles, you'll have something to latch onto the series. For mains, it's the figuring out the person behind it and trying to understand the cool cop's motives going forward, and how much more creative will the killer get in trying to perform these capital punishment cases. For casuals, the characters are good, and there's even a couple of good action scenes here. There's an evolution of the crimes and the morbid aspect of the public and their sense of justice that will kind of go ahead and actually trigger a casual viewer to kind of, it's a morbid curiosity. It's the car wreck effect that you want to go and actually watch it, and you're observing these people like, how could they do this? And I think that's going to be a telling tale on this. And I think for everyone who's interested in the show, watching to at least the end of episode 2 is a must. It may not change your theory of everything, but I guarantee you'll evolve your thoughts to go ahead and actually have a perspective on the story going forward. So again, for mains and casuals, I'm going to suggest watching the first 2 episodes of this show. And that's what I have for The Killing Vote on Prime Video. Check it out.
우리의 정의는 상식적입니다.
You stayed for the entire video. I appreciate you. Much love. Do me a favor. Click like, share, subscribe if you liked anything on this video, especially to subscribe. I want to go and actually continue to grow the channel. And that lets me know that, you're out here loving this material. But if you don't have time to do that, if you want to give a gander at one of these other reviews that I've put out here, that'd be great too. But until the next review, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.